Like, people in the food court are like, yo, stop her, she stole your shit. If you're gonna commit a crime, don't be obvious. It's easy. Hello people, my name is AmeliaKohan, and as you can see, I have a new backdrop. I moved. So this will be the new filming location. So today's video is actually about the time I got my purse stolen from a crackhead. Now this was, I was probably at fault for some of the actions that occurred this day, but I don't go around asking people to steal my identity, so there's also that. It was a very eventful night. We actually, after all of this happened, we just went and watched the last 2 periods of the Canucks games, and we just sat there in silence like, what just happened? But without further ado, I will get into the rest of the video. Okay, so my brother's best friend is named Josh, and Josh did a co-op program in Vancouver, and he was living about a block away from Rogers Arena. And through his work, he got tickets to go see the Canucks game, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And I said yes, obviously, because that would be, I've never actually, this was my first time going and seeing the Canucks play, and never seen a hockey game in Vancouver. So it was like an exciting time for me. You know, I go over to Josh's house and we decide we're gonna go out for food before the game. And we go to this like weird little mall. I'd never been to it before, and I had actually lived downtown. So we go in and it's like, it looks like it was made in the 80s. Like, it definitely has like that style of paint everywhere. There's a lot of homeless people that are in the mall as well. There's like a guy that's like going through the trash and he's like throwing stuff everywhere, and their security guards just look like so tired, and they're just looking at the guy like, stop. And I felt bad for the security guards. They were kind of useless, but we'll get into that later. We get to the mall, we go to the food court, and we decide we're gonna like get this Vietnamese place, and we got like some sandwiches, and they were actually really good. And while we're sitting down at the food court, I noticed this guy behind us has like a chihuahua. And you know, you don't think, like, when you're in a mall, you don't think you're gonna run into a guy with a chihuahua, so it definitely stood out. I remember having the thought, like, remember your purse because this guy is sketchy. And we finish eating, I look behind me, and it was kind of like winter-ish, so I had like my jacket still, and I was like, hey, jacket, phone, I'm good, let's go. Look behind me, didn't see that I left anything, so we just go. Once we get to the arena, which is like a 5-minute walk, I realized that I didn't have my purse, and I was like, oh no, we've been away a while, the guy behind me's like pretty sketchy, so they probably just took my purse and ran. And that's what they would have done if they were smarter. Josh turns to me and goes, so do you want me to run ahead? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, do you want me to run ahead? And I said, okay. So he just runs through an intersection. Like, there's cars just coming. And he just runs through the intersection, goes across the street, and like runs to the mall. I'm like jogging behind him, like taking my time, like, he's got it. And then when I get to the mall, from where we were sitting, he could have made it down to meet me, and he wasn't there. I just knew, something bad happened, and I was like trying to be optimistic on the drug there, like, no, it's fine, I'm just overreacting, like, hopefully people are good, you know? Everything's fine. And when I got there, I realized everything was not fine. It's the exact opposite. So I run up the stairs, go into the food court, and Josh is arguing with the guy that was sitting behind us. And at first he was like, we weren't even sitting, like, we didn't even see you. And I was like, well, we saw you. Like, you're with a dog. Like, it's a very memorable thing. Like, if you're gonna commit a crime, don't be obvious. It's easy. I'm like giving tips. The guy had taken my purse and opened up the zippers, and there's 2 zippers on it. And he had been shaking out my purse underneath the table, and Josh saw him do this. And he grabbed the purse back. Apparently there was 3 people that were there. I saw the girl with him earlier, but I never saw the other guy that was there. And as soon as Josh was arguing with them, started arguing with them, the guy just bolted. The guy who bolted, I think had my stuff. Well, he had my stuff. But, I get my purse back. Josh calls over the security guards. He's on the phone with the police. He, called them, gave them a location and, the description of the people, all the good stuff. And I'm just sitting there hey guys, can you, please just give my stuff back? That would help me, please. As soon as we called the security guards over, the girls, started swearing at us, and she was, calling me a bunch of names, and then she just gets up, and she has, 3 backpacks with her, and they're full of stuff. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this girl probably has my bags because she's trying to leave, and the security guards are like, hey, no. People in the food court are like, yo, stop her, she stole your shit. And I kind of wish that they intervened a bit earlier, but the thought was there. I'm walking after her and she goes to try and go into the stairwell. She's yelling at everyone to leave her alone, and I'm thinking, I'm not gonna leave you alone. You have my ID, my credit card, my debit card, my bus pass, my house key wasn't stolen. It was the only thing that I got. I lost it later though. So I'm trying to be a functioning adult, and it comes with errors. She goes into the stairwell and she's yelling at everyone to leave her alone, and the security guard's like, why don't you give her some space? And I'm like, well, I'm giving her space, but I'm at least 15 feet away from her. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to leave this chick who has my identity alone in a stairwell where she can just leave. And she starts yelling at me for a bit. I'm like, okay, can I just have my stuff back? And one of the security guards turns to me and goes, search her bag. And I say, what? And he repeats himself and he goes, search her bag. And I'm like, isn't that kind of your job? Why do you want me to search her bag? I'm scared because I don't want to, grab a dirty needle or anything. COVID was, kind of in the back of everyone's mind, but it wasn't as big, this was way before quarantine. So I don't search her bag, and then the security guard's like, well, I'm not doing it. I'm okay. I thought that there would have been, a little... You see in movies how they have, a little police department thing in malls, so I was assuming that we would go to one of those departments and then just take it from there, and then they would search it there. That's what I was thinking, but it didn't happen. And Josh comes back after a bit, and he's on the phone with, 911 still, and he looks at her and goes, yeah, she's currently in the stairwell. And I realized that she started putting a rubber band around her arm, and I'm like, what is that for? What do you do with a rubber band? And she starts, she got a spoon out, and I was like, these are very odd items. Why would you need that right now? Just give me my ID. And then she starts shooting up black tar heroin in, the staircase of this mall. I'm freaking out. I've never seen anything, close to this before. I, turn to the security guard. I'm like, are you just gonna let this happen? And the security guard just sighs, and he's like, this happens all the time. In my head, I'm like, where am I right now? What alternate universe did I step into? Because, I don't know. I've been in a very, protected neighborhood where I've never been exposed to anything like this before. And I was shocked. Josh is still on the phone with 911. So then he's like, yeah, so she's currently shooting up black tar heroin. And the lady turns to us and she was like, what are you fucking narcs? And we're like, yes, that's currently what is happening. Thank you for catching on. It's pretty obvious. Sorry, I live next to a really busy intersection, so if you hear the cars, I can do nothing about that. Yeah, so black tar heroin, I was freaking out, and I hear the sirens come, and the police are there. So Josh sends me downstairs. I like go, and I get the police. They come upstairs, and I'm kind of like explaining the situation to them. And I don't really like, I get very anxious when something goes wrong and it's because of me. So I'm apologizing the entire way. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, this is all my fault. I should have been more careful. Yada, yada, yada. And I like show them the two people. When I come up, there's like 3 security guards, and they're just playing with the guy's dog. And I'm like, okay, where's the guy? And I like look over, and he's getting tackled by some more security guards, because apparently he tried to like attack Josh, and they all like tackled him. And yeah, Josh was taking a little too much pleasure in the guy being arrested. He was very happy that that happened. And the cops come, they like put the 2 people in handcuffs. They bring the guy like immediately out of the building because he's just like trying to fight everyone. And apparently he actually had like a police, I think it's called a police, like the baton things, like those sticks. Yeah, that's batons, right? I don't know. And I think it's illegal for civilians to have those. And he got arrested because of that, and they had a bunch of other charges from malls. Like, they had shoplifted a bunch and stolen a lot, so they were banned from all of the malls, including the one that we were in, but, yeah, that just didn't really stop them. And the girl's in handcuffs, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna search all of her stuff. Like, we'll let you know if we find your IDs. I was like, okay. And we were just sitting there doing, like, some paperwork. Like, they were doing paperwork. We were just giving our report on what happened. And I was, like, very, like, in shock. Because I was, in my head, I was like, what just happened? Like, so much happened in 15 minutes. Like, the guy tried to fight Josh. The guy also tried to fight me because his dog got scared from his yelling at first. And, the dog came to me, and then he was like, get away from my dog, and like lunged at me, and then the security guards kind of like came in, and that's when Josh sent me after the girl instead, because he was like, okay, just get out of here. They both ended up getting arrested, and we just filled out a report. The police were like, if we see any of your IDs trying to be used, or like with your old credit card number, we'll flag it, and then we'll track it down type of thing. So I don't think they can steal my identity. Alright, that is it for this story time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Yeah, so I forgot to mention this, but I locked my credit cards immediately after this happened, so no money was stolen, and I had no real consequences from this other than just a pain of having to get my new driver's license with a new number. And so everything's fine. It all worked out, but it gave me a good story time. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what other type of videos you want. And thanks for watching.